is isolation going?
It's fine, but it's very scary. I mean, we're locked away. We came away from London about 4 weeks ago. We've been down here in deepest Berkshire for the last month. It's scary. It's horrible what's happening. I don't have any conspiracy theories, really. I don't normally believe in them, but I find it very hard to accept that one man in China eating a bat has actually caused this sort of world scale of chaos and horror. I find it very hard to believe, to be honest. It's awful.
You're a very outdoors kind of guy, Chris, normally. You love fishing and everything else. Obviously, you can't do any of that right now, nor can anybody do what they normally do. How are you filling the time?
I'm reading a lot. I'm watching a lot of movies. I'm all right, actually. And I have to say, we have a lot of space here. So we're very lucky. You know, if you were crammed in the middle of London in some small flat or something, some poor little old lady or gentleman, you know, frightened for their lives, it would be horrible. I think one thing that has pleased me this weekend is actually most people do seem to have observed the lockdown, which is good, because they weren't, were they? It was awful. It was ridiculous. One thing we are doing is watching a lot of TV. You know, we know more people are watching this show than ever before. You see the same for lots of us. I can't understand that at all.
Yeah.
I'm as aghast as you are, Tarrant.
Well, people want
I think it may be because everyone. I think it may
to
be less to do with our genius and more to do with everyone sitting at home watching TV.
We have a captive audience.
You may also be the sort of residual beneficiary because this extraordinary drama, based on a story that you were heavily involved in, obviously, starts tonight. Yeah. I've seen some of the clips. I mean, it was a remarkable story, this. I've seen an interview with you at the weekend where you basically say you don't buy it. This guy was a cheat.
Of course I don't.
The sort of soft soap verdict, if you like, of this drama doesn't tell the real story.
No, not at all. I mean, I've always said quite openly, I did not see anything going on. Now, I'm a reasonably intelligent bloke. I'm a few yards away from the guy. You've done it with me. You've done the show. You know how close we all are. But, well, first and foremost, I mean, we were very naive. We did not expect a serving British Army major to come on the show in a great big close-up like that, which is how Millionaire works, and try and steal £1 million. So we just used to say, people, make sure you all put your phones away. Don't, turn your phone off. We never, ever went around 200 people in the audience and checked, have you left your phone on, by the way? So the phone is on. I mean, you know, the basic sort of the technique. I mean, I saw nothing, but I have no earpiece. I am focused on this guy, and he is all over the place. And I'm thinking, hang on, was that his final answer? Has he? I mean, he was so hard to follow. There was so much noise in the studio that night. It was like a madhouse. People were screaming, they were cheering, they were going, oh, my God, you know, what's he doing?
When you look back at it, Chris, when you look back at the footage, is it more obvious to you now that there must have been something going on? Because he struggled in the early part of round, the easy stuff, and then he struggled over every question, and then seemed to miraculously always come up with the right answer.
Chris, what was the technique that they were using? What was the system they were using?
I didn't spot this, but I then spent hours and hours and hours of my life with the fraud squad going through the tapes, and it's like, oh, my God. What happened that night? I came off air, another £1 million winner, extraordinary man, amazing show, but, you know, great. The Major and his wife basically went to the dressing room. Now, this is a weird thing when you just won £1 million, and had this massive row, this huge ding-dong, like you do when you just got £1 million between you. Now, they have since said, or at least in the drama quiz, it says, oh, no, they were just shouting down the phone excitedly to their children. I don't think so. There were several people outside the door. I mean, if only they had one of those glasses you can listen to at the door. They were having a massive row. I don't know what that was about. I mean, the suggestion is that she was saying to him, you went too far, you've blown it. Bear in mind that his wife, Diana, and also his brother-in-law had already both been on the show and won £30,000. Yeah. They then went home. They didn't buy anybody a drink, rather like yourself, Piers. The production company then, Paul Smith, who owns the company, all came rushing in. I went home. They put a tape on, and they started to watch it, and they're going, "What's he doing? He had £4,000 with one lifeline left. How on earth did he get to £1 million?" And he kept saying things like, "Oh, Craig David. I've never heard of Craig David." Eventually, his final answer was Craig David. Oh, Google. No, never heard of Google. Google, final answer for £1 million.
So this was because they had an accomplice in the audience
Yeah.
he would be talking out loud, saying the potential answers, and then when they heard the cough,
Yeah, exactly.
that was the right answer.
What was done, and if you watch the tape, it's so clear. Susanna, what's the capital of France? Is it, is it Swindon? Is it Oslo? Is it Swindon? Is it Swindon? Is it Oslo? Is it Amsterdam? Or is it Paris? You go, oh, well, it could be Swindon. I don't know. Might be Amsterdam. Oslo. I don't know. Paris. Paris. Final answer. Exactly what was done all the way through.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look, Chris, of the original of the Major in action.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the original? OK, let's take a look at the show then, the show version. This is...
Craig David. You know, when I'm at home and I'm practicing, I guess wrong 80% of the time. So I think I'm going to go with Craig David.
Charles, you'd never heard of him a moment ago.
No, Craig David. We're going to...
Final answer.
Yeah, final answer.
Now, that was very similar to the real thing. I've got to say, it's great to see a good-looking host there in Michael Sheen, rather than the real thing.
I tell you what, I mean, I thought he's going to be just like all my mates, all the impressionists, Mike Osman, Rory Bremner, etc., etc. Go, hello, Chris Tarrant here. Tea. I've never gone tee-hee-hee in my life.
Yes, you have.
No, I never, ever have gone tee-hee. But Michael Sheen is an actor. He's not an impressionist. He's a superb actor. And I was watching it because I spent so many years of my life with headphones on. Radio people know what they sound like. Most people don't know what they sound like. I know exactly what my voice is, and I'm thinking, that is pretty close, actually. It's pretty... And also, he does weird things with... I'm doing some now. He does weird things with his body that I'm watching and going, oh, God, I do that. And there's a way that he stands. I don't know, he's sort of flapping one leg like a duck, and I actually do that as well. He's very good.
Oh, Chris,
I met him.
Before we let you go, just because I'm sure you must have looked over the footage so many times to work out how they did it in a way that you didn't hear it. So when you look at the footage the first time and repeatedly, what strikes you about how they did it?
Thing. I mean, because what happened that night, they put the tape on and they went through it and they couldn't see what was going on. And then they ran it again. By now, we're about 1 o'clock in the morning after the Millionaire's, been and gone. And one of the young editors went, there's a cough there. And they're going, what? No, there's a cough. I said, what are you talking about? There's a cough. And they then went back down the tape and started to go all the way through. Craig David, and so on and so on, all the way up to the million. I'll tell you another thing that's only really hindsight, a long time later. Whenever I've said to anybody, probably 14, 15 times on that show, to play for £1 million, I've said, you've got £500,000. You can take that amount of money now. If you want to go for the next question, if you get it right, and I hope you do, you get £1 million. If you get it wrong, you lose £450,000. Now, everybody I said that to, you see them go, because in their brain they've got £500,000. They sort of have, but they haven't because they could lose it. The only one, this struck me probably a year later before the court, the only one that actually went, yes, OK, let's play, was the Major. Because he knew he was going to play and he knew he was going to get the right answer. Of course he did.
You know, the great irony, Chris, is that no one noticed around the guy in the audience the coughing as a technique. Of course, if somebody did that now and began coughing, given the current climate, 100 people would leap up and go, "Wow, he's coughing!"
I know.
There we are. Life's changed, right? Life has changed.
Also, can you imagine the whole audience having the social distance? This huge, massive bar.
Well, that's the future.
Well, the weird thing at the moment is there are no audiences. I mean, it's interesting watching Britain's Got Talent the weekend. They recorded the audition shows before all this. And I talked to Simon Cowell actually a few days ago about this, and they've been agonising whether to show the audition shows because actually they won't be able to do the live shows until much, much later. And eventually he said, you know what I decided, he said, is that who cares?
People need a lift.
People need a bit of entertainment. I watched it. It was great fun on Saturday, and he's quite right. It doesn't matter when the live show's there, does it?
Yeah.